The S-Type marks Jaguar's first real attempt to get out there and chase those mainstream sales, which makes it all the more surprising that they should turn out something so boldly styled when you might have expected perhaps a more typically bland Euro box. It harks back to the delightfully rakish Jaguar Mark II of the 60s, and it's available with either a 3-litre V6, it's actually a Ford engine, or a more proper 4-litre V8. The Rover 75, it sailed galleon-like onto the market last year to much acclaim, and it was hailed as the answer to the prayers not only of the folks at Rover, but also to those company car drivers forced to choose their next chariot from a restrictive and frankly rather boring list. It's smaller than the Jaguar, significantly cheaper than the Jaguar, and actually aimed at a different market anyway. So why do they both look exactly the same? I don't know really, but if there is anything to choose between them, then it's down to our two real people for this week to find out. We've flagged down two taxi drivers and asked them to turn off the meter and swap their cabs for our two luxury cars. Let's see what our first cabbie, James, makes of the Rover 75.
I find the car very smooth. It's a comfortable driver. It's a car that you could do 400, 500 miles in a day and probably get out and not feel too tired in. It's got a very classic look about it, but it's a car that you would expect to see an older person driving. The acceleration is the one thing which I found very poor in this. From a taxiing point of view, it'd be hopeless.
The look is nice, it's kind of retro. Kind of a fusion going on really, because it's modern, but yet old. The handling, so far it's nice. I've definitely got the power beneath my feet there. If I had 30,000 disposable income, I'd want to check a few more cars out just to compare. It's like taking a princess out, you know, it's just like taking Miss World out, you know, but the only thing is you can ask for it back, aren't you?
It is interesting that both cars should go for a retro look, but whereas the Jag goes back to the 60s, the Rover perhaps goes back to the 50s and maybe even further to the old pre-war Rover 75. Anyway, it's time for the big changeover, so let's have everybody out of your cars. We've each driven one. Time to drive the other one. I hope nobody's made a mess in the back of my motors there, boys. Just before you swap over, let's find out what you thought. Phil, you've been out in the Jag. What did you think?
Oh, it's lovely. It purrs like a pussycat.
You like it?
Yeah.
Positive verdict. So let's find out, James, you were in the Rover. What do you think?
Comfortable ride, but not everything I was hoping for. A little bit disappointing.
Let's see what you make of the other. There's the Jag for you and the Rover for you.
Cheers, thanks.
Let's swap over. Have a go on the others, and it's time for round two.
Not bad, is it? You put your foot down, it instantly picks up. Totally unlike the Rover. You're buying into the status of Jaguar, aren't you? And that's got to mean a lot. I know I'd much rather be seen driving a Jaguar than I would seen driving a Rover.
It seems a lot heavier than the Jag. It's not as smooth. It's not got the same purr. The look of the car's quite nice. It's quite classy. Very similar to the Jaguar. I wouldn't really like to have this as a taxi, to be quite honest. Maybe for airport runs. Quite nice on the motorway, quite sturdy. But I wouldn't like to be doing U-turns in this car. It just seems a little bit sluggish.
Just before we hear the guide's final conclusions, here's a point worth bearing in mind. Okay, the Jag is the more expensive car. But if you were to pick, say, an entry-level Jag, that'd be about £28,500, and a top-spec Rover, that's about £25,500, about £3,000 in it. But after 3 years, with experts predicting that depreciation will be less of a problem on the Jag, it'll mean that the Rover will have cost £16,000 and the Jag £15,000. So look at it in those terms, the Jaguar could be the cheaper car. Anyway, let's find out what our two guys think. What do you reckon? Which one, Phil, are you going to put your mates on?
Oh, it's got to be this baby.
It's got to be the Jag.
Definitely without a shadow of a doubt. It's smooth, it's classy. What else can I say? It's just beautiful.
So for you, it's the big cat. James, what about you?
I'm afraid it's a cat for me.
Really? Why?
Well, it's an exciting drive. It's smooth, it's comfortable, it's just a beautiful vehicle.
Okay, well look guys, thank you both for being our test drivers for this week. I can't give you the car, but as a special treat, you're always driving everybody around. I'll drive you, I'll be the taxi driver. So in you get. A lift for the taxi drivers. Where do you want to go, by the way?
Blackpool.
Blackpool, that shouldn't be a problem. Should we get there in no time?